Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Hey, architecture firm owners and emerging leaders. Get ready for unparalleled insight into the development of a world-class architecture firm and a worldwide organization driving the digital transformation of the design and construction industry. With Build Smart, the podcast that's changing how our profession operates. We share the incredible stories behind innovation in the building industry with my friend and co-host, Patrick McLeamy, FAIA, former CEO of the international architecture firm, HOK.
You know, Yamasaki's office or firm lasted during his lifetime. And when he passed away, I think that was the end of the Yamasaki office. Helmut did not want that. He wanted a firm that would live out and grow beyond the founders.
In Season 1, discover the untold stories behind HOK's meteoric rise, from 150 employees in St. Louis to a powerhouse with over 1,900 staff members and 27 offices worldwide.
You know, they weren't as polite as the Kojima people. That was just boom. And anytime you have a creditor, whether it's Kojima or the bank, that wants their money, unless you can raise money someplace else, you are out of business.
Bankrupt. And hold on tight for Season 2, where Patrick takes us on a new adventure as chairman of Building Smart International, shaping the future of digital transformation in the design, construction, and operation of built assets.
Ian Howell, Ken Harold, and I, Ken was my technical representative from HOK. The three of us took a tour of Europe of 5 cities in 5 days. Very busy time.
Simply follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Smart now and uncover lessons that will transform you and your architecture firm. Architects, mark your calendars for the EntreArchitect Community Annual Meeting. It's the business conference for small firm architects. From October 23rd to the 25th, join us in Nashville, Tennessee, for an event dedicated to small firm entrepreneur architects like you. Experience inspiring keynotes, interactive workshops, and unparalleled networking opportunities. This is your chance to learn, share, and grow with peers who understand your journey. It's a unique conference, unlike any of the others. If you're a small firm architect business owner, this event is for you. Secure your spot today at smallfirmconference.com. Don't miss out. Join us in Nashville and prepare your firm to thrive in 2025. My name is Mark R. LePage, and you are listening to EntreArchitect Podcast, where Each week, I speak with inspiring, passionate people who share their knowledge and expertise, all to help you build a better business as a small firm entrepreneur architect. Today, Enoch Sears is with us, the founder of Business of Architecture, who advocates that architects can enjoy a fulfilling career without sacrificing health, relationships, or financial well-being. After a decade in the profession, Enoch launched the Business of Architecture Podcast in 2012, where he shares best practices for running a small firm. He has since invested over $4.7 million in refining the SMART practice method, a groundbreaking approach for a rewarding and chaos-free practice. Over 253 firm owners worldwide have graduated from his SMART practice firm leadership program. Enoch Sears, welcome back to EntreArchitect Podcast.
Hey, Mark. Good to be here. So glad to come on again and speak with you.
I'm excited about this. You've been on the show a couple of times. Way back when I first launched, the first time you were on the show was 2014, I think. A couple of years after we both launched our platforms, which that's part of what I wanted to talk about here today. You and I have been friends for a long time, have been allies for a long time. We started at the same time. 2012, we both launched our platforms, you at the Business of Architecture, me at EntreArchitect. Very similar mission, very similar vision, doing different things for different people, but very much aligned with wanting to help the profession grow and be more successful. And so what I want to do today, Enoch, is maybe talk a little bit about what we've seen and what we've discovered in the past 10 years, what the profession has looked like, what's changed in the last 10 years. There's a lot of change in the past 10 years. And then maybe talk a little bit about what's happening today, and then maybe peek at the future. What do you think about that?
That sounds great, Mark. I'd love to talk about that. You know, you and I, we've been on the scene here in what we might call the training, coaching, educational space in terms of the business side of architecture for over a decade. And I know there are other consulting and other companies out there that have been in this space even longer than we have, 10, 30, 40 years. So there's certainly been a lot of change in the space, and there's been a lot of change in what I've seen. And probably one of the biggest shifts that I've seen over the past 10 years is the younger architectural practice owners, so the younger people who are coming up in the profession. They seem to be a lot more, and this makes sense, but they're a lot more savvy with digital tools. And when I say digital tools, I don't just mean the production tools that we might use to produce drawings like Revit. And I'm referring to social media content, video content, thought leadership content. And so it's very interesting to see this kind of rift in the way that architectural practices are run. So I see there's like a rift between like the older generation of practices that were more established, maybe firms that were founded in the early 90s. Probably that's kind of the cutoff. Like sometime in the 90s, these firms very much represent just an older school way of doing things, and that older school way would look like, it's common for us to hear these very mature firm owners who've been doing this for a long time. And my hat is off to them for effort, the skills, the experience, what they've done to build their practices. But we hear a lot of times when we're in confidential spaces, of course, I don't understand my younger employees. It seems like they feel like they're owed everything. They hop off during the middle of the day to go buy shoes and they don't even tell me. I mean, I told them we have a flexible work environment, but I'd appreciate at least being let know that they were going to head off and go buy some shoes. Or they're coming to me and they're saying, hey, we want to have Friday afternoons off. And so we get them Friday afternoons off and we're hoping that will increase productivity, and it finds out that it decreases it. So there's just a cultural rift there between firms that were founded previously and then the way that they perceive younger architects who are younger in the profession. But one thing I do see about the younger architects in the profession is that they did have different cultural values in terms of how much they want to work and balance that or synchronize that with their personal life. They may have other interests. A lot of them aren't just all about architecture. They're like, hey, I want time for family. This is kind of have my architecture box over here and I have this over here. So to summarize, as these firms become older and there's a lot of ownership transition coming along, we're seeing a new generation of firms coming up that have a very different approach to how they market, a different approach to how they lead, a different approach how they want to run their cultures. Because even like I look at my parents and I think, when I was a teenager, Mark, maybe it wasn't this way for you, but I was like, I'm going to do all these things differently. Like I'm seeing all the flaws in my parents. And when I have my own family, it's going to be this, this, and this. And we do the same thing, with our employers. We can easily see all their faults and think that, it's so much easier and we'll do it differently. And so it does feel like over time, things are positively moving in the right direction to keep up with the changes that are happening in the larger world.
Yeah, I 100% agree that we are improving. The profession is growing and becoming more successful, more valued. And I agree with you about the younger generation doing things differently. And my generation, you're a little bit younger than me, but my generation is the transition generation. When I started the profession, it was on a drafting board. I'm not sure about you, but there was no computers in my first office. The computer came after I came to that job, right? And so we went from the drafting board to the workstation. There was no internet when I first started. Well, there was internet, but it wasn't being used in the profession. So the internet is something that has significantly changed. And the generation that you're talking about are technology natives, right? Internet natives. They were born with iPads in their hands, right? So they've been on the internet their entire lives, which gives them that acumen for technology, but also they've witnessed the internet and the social media that has come with it. And in addition to being more tech savvy, they're also more business savvy. They come understanding entrepreneurism because they see it every day on the internet, right? Not necessarily through architecture, where they see it as well, but everything is being monetized and everything could be a business, and you can do a business anywhere in the world for anything. And so they come with that mindset. And so I think that generation shift is a very positive one, but I definitely agree with you that there's some conflict, right? It's hard for the generation before me who had none of that to see this new way of doing it and trying to come up with a way that bridges those. It's a very interesting time.
Yeah, agreed. It is. And it's encouraging with the whole business side. It's the same thing. I see the same thing from my side, Mark, as I see that the younger architects who are starting their practice, they're coming into it with the idea, not so much that I'm an architect running a business, but hey, I got to be a business person. I have to figure out this business thing, and I'm doing it in the profession of architecture. So they're already thinking about things like core values. They're already understanding that marketing is important. They're understanding that sales is important and branding is important.
Yeah. And that's a complete flip-flop, right? That when we first started, that's why we started, right? That's why EntreArchitect was launched. That's why Business of Architecture was launched, to teach architects and to convince them that they're in business, that they are entrepreneurs, that they need to focus first on the business and then the successful firm comes after. Whereas today, what you're saying, today's generation, architects are coming as business first, understanding those fundamentals are important, and then they're going to apply it to the thing that they love and want to practice.
Yeah. And unfortunately, it just seems like, well, maybe not unfortunately, but it seems like the case with us as humans is that oftentimes change happens because of pressure or pain or unpleasant circumstances, as opposed to change happening simply for the joy of doing something different and innovating and taking risks, because change is risky. I mean, I remember when TPO membranes first came, well, not when they first came out, but as they were being adopted for roofs and public commercial buildings, I know a lot of architects are like, we're not going to use that material. It's new, it's untested. We're going to use our old just our asphalt cement roofs. We're just going to keep on using those, the felt underlayment with the tar on top and, the 6-ply or whatever it is membrane, and it's like, because it's safe.
Yes. Yeah. And that's how change happens, right? Everybody thinks that they want change. They dream of change, right? They have the vision of what they want their firms to look like and what they want their lives to look like. But really, you're right that the change doesn't happen until the pain is so painful that they have to make the change. It's very rare that you proactively make that change without feeling the discomfort first.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend who's an entrepreneur, who's led several successful businesses, and he has a saying, and this was his pattern in the past. We said, I would always burn everything to the ground. And what he means by that is he would find out that he kind of reached this level of success in one area, and then he kind of plateaued. He kind of reached the ultimate success there. And so he just destroyed it and built something bigger, and it was different. It was bigger. Now, obviously, he looks back and says, I probably didn't need to destroy those things. But the one thing he did have was the ability to just go all in, just jump for it, make it happen, throw caution to the wind in a sense, And it served him well because, let's face it, a lot of entrepreneurship is looking into the future and seeing that there's a pleasurable possibility there in front of us. Now, Mark, you said something that a lot of firm owners kind of dream for a better firm or have a dream what their firm looks like. Is that your experience? I want to question that.
You're not experiencing that? You don't see that?
I'm not sure that's the case. Well, I don't know. It's like, because when I was laid off back in 2007 for the first time in the Great Recession, I just remember being at a stage in my life where I didn't know what the future held. So it was difficult to have a dream. Like I had a very vague dream. I knew I wanted things to be quote unquote better.
Mm-hmm.
I knew I wanted to provide for my family better. I knew I wanted to do work that I enjoyed. But what that would look like was just it was hard to pin down. It was difficult. And I'm curious, I think it's common for business owners. You're a very vision-driven guy. I mean, I remember back in 2012, you kind of had this picture of what EntreArchitect was going to look like. It was like amazing, I feel that's a bit of a superpower for you.
Yeah, well, I do have that vision, and it's exactly what drives me. But I think the architects that I talk to, they're very creative people, right? Many of them, I ask the question, the origin story in most episodes. And almost every episode, the architect explains that they knew they wanted to be an architect when they were young, right? Vast majority of architects decided they were going to be an architect pre-teen, right? And I think that creative personality and sort of having the desire to become an architect, they have this vision of what an architect is and what it could be and what it should be in their mind, right? Very often, very unrealistic. But the vision is there anyway, right? And so I think most architects, and I don't know if most architects, but the most architects that I talk to do have a dream of what they wished their firm would look like and would be. What I agree with you may be the case is that they don't document it. They don't do anything to achieve it. They just have the dream. And then they just keep working and working and working, hoping that the dream will come. And you and I both know that that doesn't work. There needs to be a framework. There needs to be a plan. There needs to be something that gets you from here to there.
Yeah, I love that. The idea of a framework, powerful framework is important because the cool thing about frameworks is frameworks are structures upon which change can still happen within them, because any vision or any plan is going to need to zig and zag. It's going to need to change, as the market shifts, et cetera. So oftentimes when we set visions for our businesses, I was just talking with Ryan about this the other day. We were talking about the vision that we have here at Business of Architect. And I said, well, we have a big audacious goal for where we want to get to in terms of revenue number, et cetera, like that. But the path to get there, I don't have a clue. I have a big spreadsheet with a lot of ideas. And mostly what I can see is about a year in advance. I can say, okay, these are the steps we're going to kind of take in the next year or so. But beyond that, it's like the fog of war. Beyond that, who knows what's going to, there's so many variables that are going to happen. I remember hearing in business literature how the Japanese would make 100-year business plans. And I was like, wow, that's amazing. That's incredible.
Yeah. But with that framework of sort of having the big audacious goals, you say you don't have a clue on how you're going to get there. So is your practice just 1 year at a time? I have this big idea and I just need to hit this next year goal. And then next year I set another big goal and next year I hit another big goal. And is that how you do it?
Yeah, generally the way that we practice planning, I've done it a lot of different ways, right? So typical business will be like, okay, you have your vision, which is way off. It's kind of maybe the unreachable goal that you may never reach. It's like the big inspiring thing. And as you know, typically 3 to 5 years for our listeners, this is like in kind of intermediate business planning books will tell you, you have your 3 to 5 year plan. I don't have a 3 to 5 year plan. I don't know what's going to look like in 3 to 5 years. I have a 3 to 5 year rough idea of where I want to be and things I'm passionate about, So I really just focus on the big goal, which is off in the future, and then kind of the next 1 to 2 years. So the most I really look at is about 2 years in terms of the planning that we do. Now, having said that, there's milestones along the way by a certain amount of time we want to get here. But as it gets farther into the future, it's more vague about what it's going to look like. That's what works for me.
So do you set goals within that 1 year vision? Do you set goals in order to achieve at a certain time? I need to do certain things in order to get to that goal in the year or two?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I found works out well is we've ditched quarterly planning. We ditched that a couple of years ago. We just do monthly now. So every single month. So every single month, we're breaking down our 12-month plan. We call it an impossible game. So we set an impossible game for the 12 months. And the reason why we call it an impossible game is because it should be enough of a stretch so that reaching that achievement or that milestone is impossible based upon who we are right now at the moment.
With the understanding that you're going to need to make some changes in order to achieve that impossible goal.
Yeah. And changes in ourselves, changes in our thinking, changes in our leadership. And then, so based upon that, then every single month we sit down as a team, and also I do it individually and our clients do it as well. We sit down and we look at what's the focus for this month that's going to take us closer to that milestone. And we make sure we look at what I call the 4 key areas of life. People divide this up differently. We call it body, being, balance, and business. So we look at fitness, physical fitness, that would be the body. We look at being, which is your connection with a higher power. If that's not for you, your internal certainty of what you represent, your confidence. Your balance would be your relationships with people in your life. If you're a father, a mother, a spouse, if you have kids, setting goals in those areas. And then of course, business, which there's a whole load of things there for financial. And it's fun, as we bring in these, like a holistic approach to goal setting. I was just talking with an architect the other day who's been in our program for a year. And he's like, I lost 22 pounds this year. I was like, 22 pounds. I'm like, yes, because oftentimes what we found, Mark, what I found is that a lot of times the business growth that I'm seeking for is not necessarily going to happen if I just focus on the business, because maybe there's some personality gap that I have in my leadership or the way I think about things or the way I view the world, that if I just try to go after that thing in business, it's not going to happen. But maybe if I try working on my marriage, then I'm going to discover, oh, Enoch, you know what? You're not that empathetic. You need to do a better job of listening to your wife so you can understand where she's coming from. And then once that clicks, then I'm like, oh, well, same thing happens in my business. You know what? I need to be listening to my team members, understanding what they care about, understanding how to recreate their world for them.
Let's take a quick break to say thank you to our sponsors for their support of this episode. Architects, listen up. Is something interfering with your happiness or preventing you from achieving your goals? Regardless if you have a clinical mental health issue like depression or anxiety, or if you're just a human who lives in this world and is going through a hard time, therapy can give you the tools to approach your life in a very different way. I know this community of small firm architects very well, and I see many of you struggling. That's why I reached out to this episode's sponsor, BetterHelp. BetterHelp is a platform that makes finding a therapist easier because it's online, it's remote. And by filling out just a few questions, BetterHelp can match you with a professional therapist in as little as a few days. It's easy to sign up and get matched with a therapist. There's a link in the show notes. It's betterhelp.com/architect. Just use that link, betterhelp.com/architect. Clicking that link helps support this podcast, but it also gets you 10% off your first month of BetterHelp. So you can connect with a therapist and see if it helps you. If you need someone to talk to, consider online therapy with BetterHelp. Click the link in the show notes or visit betterhelp.com/architect. That's betterhelp.com/architect. Thank you to BetterHelp for supporting this podcast and for supporting our community of small firm architects. ARCAT's Spec Wizard is the tool that will help you save time writing specifications. Going through the manufacturer's specification line by line to find the right product leads to frustration and errors. And that's where Spec Wizard comes in. It's a free, patented tool that allows you to select products and options error-free and generate a 3-part specification in minutes. Go to arcat.com, that's ARCAT.com, and try Spec Wizard today. Please visit our sponsors today and thank them. Thank them for supporting you, the EntreArchitect community. So your smart practice method, that's included in all of that?
Correct. Yeah. It's the planning framework that we use within the smart practice method. It's a system where we have a BHAG, we call it a summit map. So it's kind of creating like the big plan for the future. And then general milestones along that, including like a 5-year goal, a 3-year goal. But those are just kind of revenue numbers and kind of projects you want to work on. And then we look at the year. And the year ones are the ones where we really sit down and say, okay, what are the really exciting things that I'm juiced about, And then halfway through the year, a lot of times with these goal setting exercises, well, we're reviewing it every single month. So it's cool because it doesn't slip, right? But then the other thing that you discover is you're doing this like just this monthly check-in. You're like, you know what? I had that on my list and I haven't been doing that. Like for instance, I've had like 2 years, Mark, I've had improving my flexibility in my body, right? So my muscles. And so one of this is like, I want to be able to be more flexible in my groin because from sitting, I don't know whether it's COVID or whatever, but sitting at a desk all the time, it's like, I can feel it when I try to get in and out of a car, when I get up suddenly off the couch, I'm like, hold on a second, man, where's this youthful body I had? So one of my goals is to increase my flexibility. And I want to be able to do like a side split with like 6 inches off the ground, And that's been on my list for 2 years. And so I was like, okay, Enoch, I'm not taking the actions that lead to that result. So I got to ask myself, do I really care about this? Why am I not doing it? And so it's a good check-in to see like what things do you care about. So we kind of adjust along the way as well.
So what were the 4 pieces of the framework?
So number 1, your body, which is your fitness, your being, connection with self, connection with the higher power, your balance would be your partner, your romantic partner, and your children primarily, and then other relationships in your life, and then your business, which is your finances, both personal and business finances as well.
Yeah, I love that. I love that it's holistic and you're really looking at literally everything because they are all related, right? Like you said, it's very hard to achieve your business goals if you're not healthy or that you have distractions in your marriage or your kids are not happy, right? The things in your business will suffer when those things are not working.
Yeah, 100%.
And your stiff joints could be COVID, but it's also age, Enoch.
Mark, you had to break the news to me. Dang it. You mean there's a thing called age? I read this book, by the way, by a guy named Ron Zeller. Ron Zeller, what's the name of the book? It's really fun, but actually he was a guy that came out of, I don't know if you've heard of Landmark. They do a lot of personal development stuff. Have you ever heard of the Landmark training program?
No.
Well, Ron Zeller was a trainer for them and he wrote this book. He was like in his 80s, he did these incredible things. Like he ran a marathon and he became a Taekwondo champion and he did all these really cool things that were like defying his age. And so he wrote this book. It's called Aging or Ageless. And actually in the book, he makes the case that aging is a cultural conditioning and it's a myth. Now, I'm not saying that that's true. I'm not saying it's not true. I'm just saying it was a very interesting thought experiment. Because like you, I look at my age, I look up every day in the mirror. I'm just thinking like, even yesterday, I was looking at some of the pictures and noticing some more wrinkles on my neck here.
I think we're getting handsomer though, Enoch. I think things...
I like it. Thank you, Mark.
I think if you look at our pictures 10 years ago, I think I look better than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah,
and
you're
same
looking
with
good.
you.
You're looking good, man. You're looking good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, we've come a long way and I love the things that you're talking about. I love the holistic approach that you're taking with your training. What does the future look like for you, specifically for you? I mean, we talked a little bit about goals, but like, where do you want to take business of architecture and the smart practice method and yourself personally, right? Holistically, where do you want to be in the next 5 years, 10 years?
Yeah, beautiful. I mean, we continue to want to serve our clients and serve architecture at the highest level at Business of Architecture. We just want to over-deliver for people who come and join our program. We want them to experience all the abundance that they can get in the world, through their practice. And here's the thing, like, if you think about it, architects are basically the stewards of our built environment.
Absolutely.
And we look at that and construction professionals might disagree, politicians might disagree, but I mean like the creative aspect of the built environment, it's like architects. I was talking with an architect who does a lot of very high-end homes out in where you used to live, New York area, but he's like over in the Hamptons, that kind of area, right? And he said that nowadays, like he gave the example, he said, I really try to convince my clients to do very high-end millwork because these guys, these craftsmen who do the high-end millwork, and it's been passed down for 100 years or more of how they do this woodworking. And these guys are like real bona fide craftsmen. They're not the day laborers who come in and, the rough carpenters. These are guys like doing the really cool stuff. And he said, their craft is dying, or it's under threat, shall we say.
Yes.
It's under threat, And like, I get the conversation about that opens up a whole nother can of worms about like wealth and luxury. But what I do know is that oftentimes the wealthy elite and the luxury and the things they're able to invest in end up being able to help out the rest of society, right? Like memory foam, NASA, they're trying to figure out a good seat for the astronauts. Well, guess what? Now there's hundreds of thousands of Americans who are sleeping a whole lot better on their memory foam mattresses. It's like the Post-it note, whatever. They were trying to invent some glue and they came up with this little post-it note that we use all over the place. So I am confident and convinced that architects, number one, they need to rise up and really wake up to their value and their importance in society, because architects go through design training in school. They go through the Beaux-Arts style training. They're trained about all the old traditional ways that architecture was done, massing, the way that spaces sit together. Like, this is a craft. And what ends up happening when architects are under financial duress, in other words, when their businesses are difficult, they're not making enough money, then what ends up happening is the industry gets under threat, right? So people end up leaving the industry. It's harder to find good qualified people. And then we have a brain drain. So we have AI coming on. I mean, there's so many radical changes happening. We really need architects who are bold, number one, and they understand the value that they have. And they're willing to stand for it in a radical way in the face of other people who are telling them that, you're not valuable, or we can do this way, or this AI program could replicate what you do. These are the kind of battles that architects are going to have to take a stand for. That's important.
Are you optimistic about the future of architecture?
Oh, I'm so optimistic. Yes, absolutely.
What does the profession look like in 5 years from now with AI and all the things that are happening?
Great question. It's like AI is just, as you know, incredible. So, I was talking to, I can't remember, I heard this from a friend or someone. He said, hey, look, here's the truth about AI. There's going to be two kind of people in the future. There's going to be the people who learn how to work with AI and harness it and become the curators of it.
Right.
And there's going to be the people who don't.
That's right.
And the people who become the curators of it and understand how to use it are going to set the conversation for the next 10, 15, 20 years. I can't see how it would turn out any other way.
Yeah. So do you think architects will do that? Do you think they will embrace AI and become the leaders of AI and technology? And
some will. And I think others will. It's interesting, others will come from outside. So you look at some of the companies now coming in from AI, they're coming from the tech space. And it's like either architects rise and do this and get involved in this, and it'll probably be the younger architects because they're looking for career paths and they might get pulled into an AI company. But it's got to happen, because we don't want that brain drain to happen.
Yeah. And what you were saying about other industries and technology, that's a big threat, right? Those industries and that technology can take over, right? And take our profession away and could make architects obsolete unless architects embrace it and lead it and become the stewards of it. And I think the generation that we were talking about earlier, that are the younger generation that are coming in native technology and business, will fully embrace that and will expect it and will save the profession. Absolutely, the next generation will thrive in this new world.
Agreed. When we look at AI, it's easy to, well, not just AI, but just the world in general, geopolitical changes, crazy politicians in office who are doing just crazy things and seem to be out of touch with like humanity in general. It seems there's corruption happening, and I don't watch the news anymore, but it just seems like a continual he said, she said kind of battle fest between politics, et cetera. And so it's like, yeah, the government's not going to save us. It's not going to save us. The everyday man and woman's going to have to rise up and say, when I say rise up, just start being more vocal. There's got to be people with values standing up and saying we've had enough. And same thing goes for architecture.
Yeah, I think there's such an opportunity for leadership, both in architecture and in our country. If somebody just stood up and started telling the truth and saying the things that need to be said, both in architecture and in our country, I think the country will rally behind them. I think that the profession would rally behind them. And so I think it's just a matter of having some strong leaders. Generationally, I think from that same generation, I think will also save the country, right? I think this next younger generation will live through this mess that we're in and say, we're not doing it like that. We're not going to do it like that. We're going to do it differently.
Yeah. There has to be a shift in consciousness, and, hopefully it won't happen because of pain, like we talked about earlier. I was down in the Amazon a couple weeks ago, and as I was down there, I was in Peru in the Amazon, and, I was kind of taken back. I was taken back to the way that we used to live in this country before we were super developed, people living off the land. And there was just I felt a certain like gratitude for being given a glimpse of that way of lifestyle where people aren't so separated in suburban homes that everyone has an 8,000 square foot lot and you never see your neighbors. And it's like from doorstep to go work in a corporate cubicle somewhere. And feels like there's a sense of humanity that's missing from modern life. And we're shifting. Or I can see the United States and just, the consciousness of communities shifting over, but it's a wild ride, Mark. And we have so many tools available like the internet and AI to help all of us be more prosperous.
Yeah. Well, I think people like you who have dedicated their lives to helping others grow and prosper is a big way that the future will succeed, right? That the profession will grow, our world will grow. Because I think not only the people who interact with you benefit from you, but all of the people who interact with those people benefit from the work that you do. And so, first of all, thank you. Thank you for doing the work that you have done for the past decade and continue to do at a very high level. Thank you for leading the way and showing many architects how to do it.
Thanks, Mark. And I would like to just speak to your audience and my audience as well, because we'll put this on my podcast and just really inspire them for what's possible, because the reason why someone will listen to this podcast is because they know there's something better for them inside. They know that they have some contribution to make to the overall conversation in the world or, around these things that we're talking about for the future. So Ryan, my business partner, he came to Business of Architecture because he was motivated by the podcast. And I know you have people in your world the same way where they listen and they're inspired and you help them connect with something inside of themselves that kind of blossoms into a new level of leadership. So I want to, just inspire our listeners to say that yes, architecture is changing. Yes, technology is changing. It's going to change at light speed. And don't worry about it. Don't stress out about it. Do it. Put your shoulder to the wheel. Like have belief, have faith, follow your dreams.
Yeah. And just take the next best step.
Yeah.
Right. It's so easy to get overwhelmed with the vision and all the things that we need to do.
I know.
And really all you can do is the next best thing.
Mark, I want to ask you, what's your approach to rest? So right now with the internet and everything, there's a lot of hustle and grind culture. When you tune into all the entrepreneurial world, it's like there's so many videos. Like I love Les Brown, I love Tony Robbins. Like I just love listening. They're great. I love it. But a lot of times the message is like, when you're tired, keep pushing harder. Don't stop. Go to the top of the mountain. When you reach that mountain, go to the next mountain.
Yeah.
And I'm curious, where do you land with that? Like rest, hustle and grind. What's your philosophy around that?
Yeah. That's a loaded question, Enoch. I am working hard. I'm very focused on big goals. I do work out and I do my best to rest. Because of the big goals that I have and the choices that I've made in order to achieve the big goals that I have, there's a lot of stress. And that stress keeps me from resting how I should. And that's not a good thing, right? Wouldn't want anybody else to experience what I'm experiencing in terms of my rest. But it's a very interesting question that you ask because I struggle with that quite a bit. And so it's something that I work hard at. And really, I think it will take achieving some of these goals that I have in order for me to get to the point where I can rest more.
Why do you want to achieve the goals? Why not just rest now?
Yeah. The goals that I have set are not only for me. The goals I have set are for others. I'm intentionally, or you said earlier that I had very big vision early on. Well, I still have a very, very big vision. And EntreArchitect will survive me. It is being designed and being grown to change the world through architecture and to continue when I'm not part of it anymore. And that's a very big decision, right? That's a very big role to play. And so if I didn't reach for those goals and I stopped and just took the break and rested, I don't think I'd get to where I need to be, where I want to be, let's say, where I want to be. I feel a calling, much like you do. I feel a purpose. I'm driven by things that aren't in my control. I really feel that what I do is God, that God has spoken to me and has moved me in the direction that I'm going. And every day I just stay on the path and keep moving forward. And so I don't think I can stop.
Beautiful. I mean, that's it. Like that's a calling. When you feel the calling and you touch in with whatever your calling is, I've found as well that it's like a fire that can't be extinguished.
Yeah.
You can run like Jonah, but you might end up spit up on the beach again somewhere.
Yeah. Well, it's a very big vision, and you have a very big vision too. And we've come a long way in the last 10 years. And I'm sure you have a very similar thought from what you've shared here today. I have just begun. The last 10 years is literally the foundation for what I have planned for the future. And so that's why I work as hard as I do. I'm getting older, right? I'm 54 years old. The big vision takes time, and I need to accomplish certain things by certain times in order for them to happen, in order for me to get this to where I want it to be before I'm too old to do it. And so every day I get up and keep doing it.
Beautiful.
So that was a very deep conversation. And so I'm questioning whether I should ask you the final question that I typically ask my guests, but I would love to have you answer the question. What's one thing that an architect can do to build a better business for tomorrow?
Great question.
What's the one thing they should do right now, today? If they were going to just do one thing, what's the one thing?
Give themselves permission to want more than they have right now.
That's a great answer. His name is Enoch Sears. Business of Architecture is his platform. Go visit businessofarchitecture.com. Learn about what they're doing over there with the Smart Practice Method. Subscribe to the podcast. Reach out and say that you've heard Enoch on this podcast. You're inspired and you want to learn more. So businessofarchitecture.com. Enoch, thanks again for doing what you do, what you've done. And thanks for coming by here today at EntreArchitect Podcast.
Mark, thanks for having me.
If you liked this episode of EntreArchitect Podcast, please share a link to this episode with a friend. Either just click the share button or highlight the URL and send the link to this episode with a friend, because that's how EntreArchitect has grown to serve thousands more architects just like you throughout the 10 plus years of EntreArchitect. That's how we've grown, architect to architect. So I would love for you to share this episode and all the episodes with one friend every week. We'd love that. And thank you to our sponsors for this episode. We don't have an episode if there's no sponsors. So thank you to our sponsors. Links to those sponsors, which you should go visit and click, and all the resources that we discussed today for this specific episode, they are all available at EntreArchitect.com/podcast. Every episode that we've recorded is there, EntreArchitect.com/podcast. Go click the links to the sponsors and say hello. EntreArchitect is a member of the Gable Media Podcast Network. You should go visit that at gablemedia.com. That is the next evolution of interactive media and resources for the AEC community. You can now earn continuing education credits for listening to select episodes of this podcast, EntreArchitect Podcast. Yes, AIA CEUs for listening to a podcast. It's there, and many other podcasts are there as well, and you can listen to all of them and get credit. Learn more about our program, Gable Members Program, at the gablemedia.com/members website. That's GABL media.com/members. And if you are a small firm architect, join us today at EntreArchitect Network. That is the worldwide organization for small firm entrepreneur architects. If you own your own architecture firm, you are an entrepreneur architect. You are an EntreArchitect. With weekly live group business coaching, we have business coaching there, monthly live business training with AIA CEUs, 2 a month, so 24 AIA credits per year, including 12 of those are HSWs. We have them in the membership. Business resources, all the resources you need to run your business, special session webinars, mastermind groups, and a thriving community of small firm architects just like you. Hundreds of architects are there waiting for you to join. So we provide the support and encouragement you need to succeed as a small firm architect. I know that you haven't been trained as a business person when you launched your firm. That's what we do. Come learn how to run a business at EntreArchitect Network. And today you can go join right now for free for 30 days at this link, EntreArchitect.com/30 days will give you free 30 days for membership. Go check it out at EntreArchitect.com/30 days, and I will see you there. Thank you for listening to this episode of EntreArchitect Podcast. My name is Mark R. LePage, and I want you to remember 3 words: love, learn, share. Have a great day.
Imagine earning continuing education credits while doing exactly what you're doing right now. Well, you can. Gable Media has revolutionized the way you earn your continuing education credits with a groundbreaking approach. Forget running around town and scouring the internet for credit-worthy courses. Fulfill your CE requirements effortlessly by listening to engaging podcasts just like the one you're listening to now. Our podcasts are designed to educate, entertain, and inspire, all in a user-friendly environment. But wait, there's more. Architects, Gable Media is also approved as an AIA continuing education services provider. Upon completion, we handle everything, from reporting your hours directly to the AIA to storing your certificates in your personal Gable Media profile for your self-reporting needs. So follow the link in the show notes and start earning your credits in the most innovative and entertaining way possible with Gable Media.
Attention architects and creative minds, get ready to supercharge your brand with Build Your Brand, the podcast that's unlocking the secrets of branding success for creatives. Hey there, it's Mark R. LePage, founder of EntreArchitect, and I'm inviting you to join my friend, architect marketing expert Jeff Eccles at Build Your Brand podcast, where he explores the captivating stories of the world's top brands and transforms their lessons into powerful moves for small firm architects and creatives like you. In Season 1, Jeff shares the thrilling tale of Southwest Airlines, where he dissects their journey to the summit and distills it into strategies tailor-made for you.
It's important to keep in mind that companies like Southwest compete in the real world, just like you, and face real-world challenges, just like you. You might be surprised at how similar those challenges are to the struggles that you grapple with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't miss out on your blueprint for success. Subscribe, tune in, and let's build your brand together.
You may have noticed that the very best brands in the world are also known for having somewhat unique corporate cultures. That's often the glue that holds everything together when they encounter those rough spots.
We don't do it because it inconveniences the passengers to whom we are primarily dedicated, the short haul, frequent flyer.
Follow the link in the show notes to subscribe to Build Your Brand today. Remember, no matter the size, the journey's the same. Your brand's journey to the top starts here.